Welcome to Mind Power, a Brains R Us program brought to you by Centerpoint Research Institute. In these special episodes, you'll hear thought-provoking articles designed to expand your mind, useful tips to improve your life, and the latest neuroscience research to help you tap into your fullest potential.
The Power of Flexibility and How It Saved My Life by Gregg Hendrix, read by the author. In March of 2012, my life changed forever. I was stopped at a red light when I heard a loud vehicle approaching. Through my rearview mirror, I saw a large truck barreling towards me at a high speed. It wasn't slowing down. So I did what most people do. I took a deep breath and I braced myself. The impact snapped both my thumbs like toothpicks. The violence of the crash crushed my foot like a scrap of paper, popped a vertebrae within my spine, and removed the consciousness from my body. I woke up in the hospital with one word in my head: pain. A few years later, after a ton of physical therapy and yoga, a story for another time, I was stopped at yet another red light. Except this time I was on a bicycle. When the light turned green, I hopped on my bike and merrily pedaled away. The next thing I remember was a loud crunch as I was hit by a car. My neck got turned backwards, my shoes were ejected from my body, my bike was a chunk of scrap metal, which somehow was across the street, and the rain began to soak my body. I lost consciousness. I never saw the car, or due to the concussion, I don't remember seeing it. And to this day, what surprises me the most is that I didn't feel it either. I woke up on the pavement with one word in my mind: warmth. It turns out a kind stranger draped a towel over my body while I was unconscious, probably because they thought I was dead. I got up, brushed myself off, grabbed a ride to work, finished my shift, and then went to the hospital to make sure everything was okay. The doctors couldn't even tell that I was hit by a car just a few hours ago, and neither could their tests. 0 airbags, no seatbelt, and a measly styrofoam helmet for protection? How was this possible? The doctors explained to me that since my body was relaxed when the impact happened, I was able to bend around the car rather than break due to the impact. I didn't tense up. I didn't become rigid like with the first accident. I was flexible. My flexibility is literally why I'm alive today. And if I've learned anything throughout my journey from a yoga student to instructor, it's that flexibility applies to more than just the body. It applies to our minds and beliefs as well. My understanding of what being flexible means can be summed up with a single sentence. Flexibility is the ability to safely bend, change, or extend your awareness at will. Flexibility seems pretty straightforward when it comes to the body, but there's a ton of hidden mechanisms happening that many people aren't even aware of. By increasing the awareness of our bodies, we gain the power to become more flexible. Let's use touching our toes as an example. Let's say someone wants to be able to touch their toes, but their muscles just aren't flexible enough yet. When they bend over to touch their toes, they feel a pull on the back of their legs, the hamstrings, and while the hamstrings are key muscles involved in touching your toes, it is just one small part of the entire process. But the person in our example doesn't know this. They feel the hamstrings tighten, and so they figure that those muscles are the reason why they can't touch their toes. So they might try stretching the hamstrings, which there are a ton of different stretches for, and it will ultimately help them towards their goal. But if they just focus on the hamstrings, they are missing out on other key muscles and bones that make touching their toes possible. Touching your toes requires lengthening, extending the lower back, hamstrings, and spine. Our ability to manipulate each of these areas brings us that much closer to touching our toes. Once we become aware of the body parts involved, we can change our perception of how we accomplish that feat. So instead of focusing on the hamstrings alone, now the person in our example is aware of the other body parts involved and can also stretch the lower back and the spine as well. And they will notice that it's much easier to touch their toes once they address all of the muscle groups and the bone structures involved. If we can establish an awareness of our body parts and how they work together, we are able to safely change, bend them in a way that produces the result that we seek. When we are more aware, we can become more flexible. The same principles of flexibility of the body also apply to the mind. Let's focus on playing a game of chess as an example. Believe it or not, flexibility is huge when it comes to playing chess. Chess requires awareness of what is directly in front of us, our pieces. We also need to know the rules of the game, how to move each piece, how to put the other king into check, and how to win the game. But if you want to be good at chess, or at life, you must also be able to strategize. That means increasing your awareness outside of your own pieces and trying to predict what will happen next. You've got to stay 3 moves ahead, I've heard people say. But when the opponent makes a move you didn't account for, you might find yourself 3 moves behind. In chess and in life, there's a delicate balance between implementing your winning strategy and being able to change that strategy as the board changes. What piece are you going for? If they take your pawn there, does that open up their rook? Can you set a trap to capture their queen? It's impossible to know exactly what piece your opponent will move and where they will move it. So our strategies cannot be set in stone, or they will crumble. If they take your knight, when you planned on using that knight in your strategy, you must adjust. That's where flexibility comes in. If you can't change your strategy, when it starts to fall apart, you will lose every time. But the better you are at extending your awareness and making adjustments, the more likely you will get to that coveted checkmate. 4 years ago, my father was rushed to the hospital due to a heart attack. All but one of his arteries was blocked off due to the plaque, and it did not look good. We braced for the worst. I won't keep you in suspense. He survived. Though it's what happened next that was truly astounding. You see, my dad changed the way he thought about life. He adjusted his diet, exercise regimen, screen time, and he started reading about the body. His awareness of his own body changed, and due to that awareness, his physical body began changing as well. He could have maintained his once rigid views on health. Heart disease runs in our family. There's nothing I could do about it. But he didn't. He challenged that belief, gained a newfound flexibility, and literally changed his life. I urge you to imagine what it is like when you were a child. Think about when you first learned how the world worked, how to tell time, how the sun shines, the color of the ocean, or even the phenomenon of rain. We all had a rudimentary understanding of all these topics as children, which evolved as time passed, and we learned more about the world. Oh, it turns out the sun is literally hot plasma, not a smiling ball of warmth with sunglasses. Children are flexible, both in body and in mind. they can take new information that may challenge their beliefs and adapt their worldview as easily as we change clothes. They are in a constant state of increasing awareness. And have you ever seen a toddler bend their foot up to touch their ear to use it like a phone? But as we age, our ability to change our perception as we become more aware and learn new information decreases. Our beliefs are harder and harder to change, and we pick and choose the information we want to accept into our belief systems. Our bodies become less active, our muscles less spry. We begin to develop rigidity in the body and mind. We've all heard that phrase, midlife crisis, or psychotic break. These things happen when our previously held views on reality crumble due to the present truth before us. Your beliefs, your thought processes, and your body, they will all break if they are too rigid. So, how do we prevent this from happening? How do we find those areas and ideas that could use a bit of flexibility? If you've listened to this point, congratulations! Here's the secret about flexibility that I've discovered, and now it's yours for free. Purposely seek out where you feel contraction, tightness, or certainty of anything, and look at it through a different lens. Sometimes that will take you out of your comfort zone. That's okay. That means you were rigid in that area. And the next time, it won't be so uncomfortable because you've done it before. This is the practice of flexibility. And if you're anything like me, it could save your life. Flexibility is not just about running from pain or reducing pain. It's about curiously finding ways to be more aware. There are many paths to reach the peak of the mountain. One path may be the most efficient, but try more than just one path, and you will often find a beautiful view. With love, namaste. I hope you enjoyed this video taken from our archive of mind power. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, be well.
This episode of Brains R Us is brought to you by the Buy HoloSync app, the only official app for HoloSync. Enjoy quick daily brain-enhancing meditations, long-form HoloSync radio stations for up to 8 hours of continuous brainwave states, easily access all of your HoloSync suites and courses, and listen to more Brains R Us podcast episodes, all from your favorite device. Head on over to holosync.app/podcast26 right now to claim a free 7-day premium trial, no credit card necessary.